Tuesday, the Flames became the first NHL team to visit the Soviet Union as they landed in Leningrad. Monday, the Flames were in Prague, Czechoslovakia to take on the Czech national team. Not a great start for Calgary. Dana Merzen gives it up in his own zone. Thomas Jelinek was there to bang home the rebound. He beats Rick Wamsley there. The Czechs lead 1-0. About 4 minutes later, Czechs score again. Vladimir Ruzicka puts it up under the pads of Wamsley. It's 2-0. The Flames answer back, though. Sergei Makarov feeds Yuri Radina over to Joe Nieuwendyk. He scores, and the Flames are to within 1. The Czechs get one more midway through the third. The Flames defense coughs it up. Robert Holik scores. The Czechs are up by 2. Late in the game, the Flames pull Wamsley, but that decision backfires when Dramir Kadlec puts it in the empty net. The Czechs win it 4-1. Soviet star Igor Larionov made his long-awaited debut at the Vancouver.
Is a very unlikely candidate. Captain Stan Smeel, and yet it has been Smeel who, along with his family, have spent countless hours trying to make the Larionovs feel at home. So what once was just a job handed to him has suddenly become very personal.
It's the off-ice stuff that's going to be the biggest adjustment for him and his family. And already, you know, a lot of things that we've done, shopping for furniture and just being able to get groceries. And
Molson Hockey Night in Canada will be there with live coverage on Sports Weekend beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Steve Armitage. Good night for Molson Hockey Night in Canada. Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Export. Nothing halfway about it. X says it all. And Pepsi, it's got what it takes. The head of Net
12 from Peterborough in stereo.
The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. Beautiful and historic Leningrad, dream city of Peter the Great. It was here Thursday the Calgary Flames would make hockey history, the first NHL team to play in the Soviet Union. The opening ceremonies, traditional exchange of gifts, the Flames giving the trademark white Stetsons to the Soviet players. The second star of the game was Sergei Makarov. He was all smiles, returning to his homeland. But the first star of the game on Thursday was the star of the playoffs last spring. He was spectacular, goaltender Mike Vernon. For head coach Terry Crisp, a brand new contract and a new challenge to repeat as Stanley Cup champion. Today, the series moves to the capital city of the Ukraine. It is game number 2 from the Kiev Palace of Sport. A special presentation of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Get over the line. He got a chance. Another great save. How did he keep doing this? To Matizov. Matizov out front. They score. Kruzov. Now McGill's winding up. She scores. McGill. Here's LaFleur winding up for this shot. And there's Tuesday. That's called by Kretiak. Another shot. Oh, what a save. The Stanley Cup has been won by Calgary. Today's game brought to you by Molson Export. There's nothing halfway about it. X says it all. And by Pepsi. Pepsi's got what it takes. The scene today is the Stanley Cup champion Calgary Flames enter the Kiev Palace of Sport for their game with Kiev Sokol from the Soviet Eastern Division. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Good morning to our Western viewers, and welcome to our continuing coverage of the Calgary Flames tour in the Soviet Union. Today it is game number 2. Of course, the Flames winning the opener by a score of 4-2 Thursday night. Just a reminder, end of the first period, as Ron said, yes, the coach, Don Cherry, is here. He will join me live in the studio for an edition of Coach's Corner, and Ron will talk with Joe Nieuwendyk of the Calgary Flames. Right now, let's take you to Ron McLean in Kiev.
Brian, thank you very much. I can't wait to hear what Don Cherry has to say. I know this, Blues Army was never able to beat Red Army, so I have a hunch of what's in store. On behalf of all of us at Molson Hockey Night in Canada, on CBC in the Soviet Union, welcome to Kiev, the capital of the Ukraine, in Game 2 of the Calgary Flames tour of the Soviet Union against Sokol, Kiev. This city of 2.6 million is behind only Leningrad and Moscow in terms of population, but in terms of tradition, it's number one. The city celebrated its 1500th anniversary earlier in the decade. Fortunately, hockey hasn't been here all that time, so they've yet to perfect it, but will provide the Flames with a good test this evening in the Soviet Union. For their comments, Don Whitman and Harry Neal.
Thank you, Ron. Hi, everybody. Harry, the Calgary Flames attempting to even their preseason record at 2-2. In facing Sokol Kiev, we understand they're going up against one of the more physical teams in the Soviet League.
Well, that'll be interesting because I thought the Kimmich team Thursday night was intimidated at the start by the size of the Flames. And so if they are an aggressive team, I think we'll see a better game. The Flames rarely lose 2 in a row, and they started this year the same way, losing the 2 in Czechoslovakia, but winning on Thursday night. And I'm looking forward to a better game. All these players watched the game on television, and this team lost to Kimmich by the identical 4-2 score. So I think we're in for a good game.
Penalty killing was a key factor for the Flames in the opening game in the Soviet Union.
Absolutely. It won the game for them. After Calgary got up 2-0 in the first period, they took 10 of the next 11 penalties. And so Joel Otto especially and his penalty-killing partners were very instrumental in the win here in the first game in the Soviet Union.
The Flames are hoping they won't have to do that much work in a penalty-killing role in this game in Sokol Kiev. Now let's go back to Toronto and Brian Williams.
All right, Don and Harry, we'll find out if the Calgary Flames have to do that in just a minute. It is game number 2 of the Friendship Series between the Calgary Flames, Stanley Cup champions, and the teams from the Soviet Union. Don Cherry is here in the studio. We'll hear from him in just a minute as this special Saturday edition of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC will continue right after this. And as promised, we are back at our control studios in Toronto. We'll join Don Whitman, Harry Neal, and Ron McLean in just a minute. But the coach, Don Cherry, is here a little early. It's not October. I want to know your impressions so far. You've only seen one game, the game Thursday.
Now, wait a minute. Are you sure that's the Russians they're playing over there? I thought they were all over here. I don't understand it. I mean, you're sure about that, eh? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? We're over there playing, and they're over here playing. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's called Glasnost.
Yeah, who's he play for?
He plays for, listen, what about players that have impressed you so far?
Well, I think the Zamboni driver the last game was very good. No, they were so scared, that team last time. They didn't even want. They were pulling up in the corners. Harry's very nice. He said intimidated. They were scared skinny. I thought Ranheim is a beauty. What hands he's got. Why he was in Salt Lake City last year is unbelievable to me. If he doesn't make the club this year, it will be a crime. But how would you like to be Calgary? They win the Stanley Cup and they get a week in Czechoslovakia. I mean, don't Leafs get a week in Bermuda. Figure that one out.
All right, maybe Harold Ballard knows more than we do. You're going to be back at the end of the first period with Coach's Corner, and right now we are going to take you back to Kiev live. Harry Neal, Don said this is a more physical team Sokol is. Let's find out.
Hope so.
Calgary Flames won on Thursday. We are ready for game number 2 as we take you back live to the Kiev Palace of Sport.
Welcome back to Kiev and a traditional exchange of gifts taking place. And the Calgary Flames presenting Sokol Kiev with the white Stetson. The white Stetson, of course, has been a trademark of Calgarians for many years, and this is usually the gift that visiting teams, when they arrive in Calgary, receive, visiting dignitaries receive, and the Flames have brought the white Stetsons with them to the Soviet Union, and they have presented them to the opposition teams as they line up at their respective blue lines prior to the start of the game. And, of course, the gifts were presented to the Flames as well. Young ladies attired in traditional costume, making the presentation to members of the Calgary Flames. Flowers presented to the Flames as well, something I'm sure that caught many of them by surprise.
Well, they got the same treatment at Himmick, and I know from talking to a few of the people in Himmick, the players there were delighted to get a white Stetson with a Calgary label on the front of it, and I'm sure the boys here from Kiev will feel the same. There's the trainer, the younger Murray, collecting the roses to take to the dressing room, because they don't want any of those flowers on the bench once the puck drops.
No, it is a friendship tour, but the Calgary Flames are still intent on winning this game, and Rick Wamsley will start in goal for the Flames. Mike Vernon is not dressed. The backup tonight will be Steve Gannett, and Gannett is expected to share the goaltending assignment with Rick Wamsley. Wamsley split goaltending duties with Mike Vernon in the first game in the Soviet Union, that 4-2 victory in Leningrad 2 nights ago. Igor Liba of Czechoslovakia is the referee for tonight's game. The two linesmen are from the Soviet Union.
You've noticed, Don, that they haven't had a Russian referee yet. The Swedish referee did the first 2 games, the one last night in Moscow and the one Thursday in Himik, and now we have a Czechoslovakian.
Yuri Shundrov in goal for Sokol Kiev. Terry Christ has dressed 22 players for this game, but Al McInnes will probably be used just in a penalty-killing capacity, and the extra forward being Т.Хантер, and he isn't expected to see a great deal of action. From the face-off, the puck coming back into the neutral zone. Zinoyev plays it up along the boards to Kalabukhov. He couldn't do anything with it, and the Flames fire it back into the Soviet zone. Trying to move it out is Malkov. He gets it ahead to Stepanischev. He couldn't catch up with it. Dumped in by the Soviets. Wamsley leaves it at the side of the net for Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk is out there with Makarov, and on the wing is Gary Roberts. This line intact from game 1. As a matter of fact, this line produced a goal just 31 seconds into the game when they played Himik in Leningrad on Thursday night. A crowd of about 6,000 watching the action here in Kiev. In the center ice area, the fans reacting, thinking there should have been a penalty called as Stepanischev was spun around. Here's a long shot right on by Malkov, the first shot on goal, and it's picked up by Sabarin. Sabarin moves it out into the neutral zone. McClellan, who did not dress the other night, plays it back to his own line to McCrimmon. Dumped into the Soviet zone, back to the net. Т.Хантер gets it out front. McClellan moving in, takes the shot, the rebound. Hunter got it to McClellan got it to Gilmore. Gilmore attempting to jam it in, and the goaltender Shundrov was down to cover up.
Well, the Calgary team's quite a bit bigger, and here's what might happen all night long, as you see the great body check thrown there to create this chance. Kiev has 6 forwards that are under 180, none that are over 200. Calgary has 6 forwards over 200, and only 2 under 180, Gilmore and Fleury.
Sabarin plays it back into the Soviet zone. Lubnin takes it behind his own goal. Up on the wing, Bryakin couldn't intercept. The puck goes loose in the neutral zone. Sabarin knocked off the puck by Sinov. Broken up, however, by Doug Gilmore, and he slides it down the ice. Lubnin being chased by Bryakin. Bryakin gets a tree, tried to hit Gilmore. It bounced away from him, and it comes loose in the neutral zone. McCrimmon has it for Calgary. He plays it cross ice to Sabarin, lead pass. He was looking for Gilmore. It was broken up by the Soviets. Now Bryakin gains control. Off the boards for Gilmore. Gilmore cross ice. Coming out of the players' bench to pick it up is Suter. He has to go back in his own zone with Natras. Natras on the right side for Ranheim. He had a goal the other night in that 4-2 win. Ranheim steps into the Soviet player heavily into the boards, back of the net. The Soviet player is hurt. Drop pass for Hристич, and a good save by Wamsley as Hристич deflected it, and Wamsley came sliding across to make a fine save.
Hристич is the 20-year-old who's the only player in this team that's been drafted by a National League team. And he was drafted by Washington, 120th overall, and David Coyle and Jack Button of the Washington Capitals are here to see him play. Washington, who are also in the Soviet Union, they do not play here in Kiev.
Paul Ranheim threw a big check down in the Soviet zone. The Soviet player went off to the bench holding his arm. Hrdina gets it loose, knocks it out into the neutral zone. Ranheim couldn't go anywhere with it. And a good body check there in the Soviet zone by Godynuk. We suggested that this team might be more physical than Soviet teams we have seen so far, and that has been the case in the early going of this hockey game. Here's an opportunity now for Yuldashev, a shot and a save by Rick Wansley.
Well, one thing this team is doing more than Nimick ever did is shoot the puck. The Nimick team kept passing it and never getting good shots away.
No score in the first period. Paul Baxter, the assistant coach, on the bench for the first time in a National Hockey League capacity. Jim Poplinski in across the line. Puck taken away by Alipov. Alipov moves in with Gorbushin. Gorbushin is checked. It comes back into the neutral zone. Alipov tried to hit a teammate at the blue line, intercepted by Johansson. Johansson for Calgary dumps it in. There is no delayed offside as they are playing international hockey rules. So as a result, the whistle goes with Jim Poplinski in across the Soviet line.
Well, the Calgary Flames are definitely playing much more aggressive tonight than they did at all in the first game. And I think they heard the same report we did, John, that this is an aggressive Soviet team. And they are about half the size of the Calgary team. And if they're going to be aggressive, they're going to have tough. Roger Johansson played very well, I thought, Thursday night. And, of course, he's used to these big ice surfaces, and that ought to help them. The Flames are just now beginning to get a feel for the larger ice.
Merzen flipping it in. Shundrov stops it at the side of the net. The Soviets fire it down the ice. 3:45 is the time played so far in the period. The puck comes loose as Merzen had to take a strange bounce off those end boards, and it slid right in front of the net. And Wansley almost got fooled in that one as the Soviet player was driving in and almost slipped it past him. Puck in the neutral zone. Kalabuchov knocked off the puck as Merzen gets it ahead to Poplinski. Poplinski dumps it up on the wing, too far for Otto, and going back after it, Ovchinnikov. Ovchinnikov on the left side to Stepanichev. He's taken in against the boards by McCrimmon. Neuendijk trying to play it out of there, couldn't. Savarin steps into his man back of the net. The Soviets gain control, a centering attempt, and the puck goes loose. Shiryav trying to center it, nobody there. Back to the point, taken by Zinoviev. Zinoviev flipped it back of the goal. Т.Хантер tried to get it out. Zinoviev managed to keep it in. And now Makarov moves it ahead into the neutral zones, and Neuendijk. Neuendijk over on the wing for Т.Хантер. Hunter stops in the corner, back to Neuendijk. Neuendijk behind the net, trying to get it out front. Makarov couldn't get a shot away. McCrimmon manages to keep it in at the point. 5:08 gone by in this still scoreless opening period. Finally, the Soviets clear the zone. Stepanichev, who had lost his helmet, flipped it out. Lubnin behind his own net. The Soviets ahead to Najda. He shoots it in. McCrimmon is back for the Calgary Flames. McCrimmon looking on the right side for Makarov, intercepted by Lubnin. Ahead to Najda, he shoots it in. Wansley stops it there for Savarin. The Soviets intercept the puck in the Calgary zone. They gain control. Najda tried to slide it into the slot to Sиньков, broken up by Calgary, and here goes Priakin in alone, he scores!
Well, Priakin poured in off the right wing and took a nice pass from Joe Neuendijk and made no mistake. You watch, the goaltender's going to open his leg, and that's where the Soviet shooter beats the Soviet goaltender between the legs. And one of the knocks on Priakin is the fact that he can't take advantage of good opportunities and put it in the net. Evidently, he had 3 breakaways from Czechoslovakia and scored on none, but he made no mistake on that one.
1-0 Calgary, 5:59 the time of the goal, scoring for the Flames. Sergei Priakin. They have not yet announced an assist on the goal. Priakin moves it ahead to McClellan. McClellan into the slot area to Suter. Suter is stopped at the line. And the Calgary Flames retreat in their own zone to try and set up. Natras off the board. Gilmore couldn't handle the pass. Hristic has his pass intercepted by Priakin. Something we saw from Himmick the other night, Harry, was a lot of drop passes. As a matter of fact, they may have established a record for drop passes. No such thing in this game by this Soviet team.
Well, it's a nice ploy, but I think it was overused completely Thursday night, and they dropped it from a good scoring position to not looking good and on about 8 occasions. There's Priakin, who really, although we don't treat him as a newcomer because he was in Calgary so long last year, he only played 2 games during the season and 1 in the playoffs. So he's a rookie in every other aspect except he had a nice, long, slow adjustment period, one that Makarov won't have.
There was no assist given on the goal by Priakin. They're not very liberal with assists. Hrdina trying to get it out front to Fleury, and it was broken up by number 5, Gorbushin.
Well, there should have been 2 assists given, Don. Nieuwendyk made the nice cross-ice pass and put Priakin in, and the defenseman, I'm not sure who it was, got it up to Nieuwendyk. But you're right, the statistics we get on the Russian players reflect the fact that the official scorers do not like to give assists. And as a result, they get a lot more points if they're playing in North America in the assist column.
Merzen goes cross ice to Johansson. Lead pass for Ranheim. He had a little difficulty controlling it. And now the Soviets gain control. Krovyakov fires it in. Going back after it is Merzen. Merzen dumping it up on the wing for Hrdina. Hrdina ahead to Fleury. Fleury lost control of it. Quick shot there by Sиньков, and Wansley makes the save. Now Ziron Fleury looking on the left side for Ranheim. The pass doesn't get through, and Hrdina has to go back into his own zone. 7:20 is the time gone by in the opening period. It's 1-0, the Calgary Flames leading on the goal by Priakin. Merzen in across the line. He's dumped by Gorbushyn. And the fans here in the Kiev Sports Palace enjoyed that one.
The fans like good checking anywhere, and I don't think we should be surprised when they see one of the Kiev players knock one of these big Calgary players down, that they get excited about it.
Puck deflected down into the Calgary zone. Wansley is out of the net to play it to the corner for Savarin. He had a little difficulty handling it, and Malkov tried to center it. Now it's flipped up along the dasher. They attempt to center it again, and it's knocked down the ice and back into the Soviet zone. 8:09 is the time gone by in the first period. 1-0. The Calgary Flames leading Sokol Kiev. The second of 4 games the Flames will play in the Soviet Union. They won their first by a score of 4-2. Malkov trying to center it. He's being harassed by Savarin. The puck comes loose. Stepanichev gets it back to the line. Takes a weak shot. It bounces to the corner. Stepanichev again. Cutting right out in front. The puck is loose and knocked away just at the last moment by Mark Hunter. He breaks out now with Poplinski. Poplinski to McCrimmon. McCrimmon in across the line trying to get it back to Poplinski. Broken up by Ovenshaw. In the corner, Ovchinnikov taken in against the boards by Joe Nieuwendyk. The puck goes loose. Ботвинко attempted to move it back to the point, but it came out across the line, and the Soviets have to go back into their own zone. Najda plays it up along the boards. Sиньков unable to get it out on his first try, and finally does play it out into the center ice area. Makarov lead pass over to Nieuwendyk now, going in, saved by Shundrav. Rink-wide pass for Sиньков. Sинькov in across the line, tried to handle the puck, thinking perhaps of dropping it back, but there was nobody in position, and it was knocked away from him. Sиньков gets it again for the Soviets. Now it's Najda, bumped in against the boards. Comes loose to Nieuwendyk. He had a little trouble picking it up, and Suter circles back into his own zone. Over to Natras. Natras lead pass for Gilmore. Gilmore going back to the net, tried to throw it out the short side, gets it again. Taking that pass from Т.Хантер. Now Makarov back at the line, knocked off the puck, and it goes into the center ice area. Makarov goes to the bench as the Calgary Flames complete their line change. Т.Хантер couldn't do anything with it. It slipped out into the center ice area. There's a penalty coming up here. Doug Gilmour will be going off as he upset the Soviet player Бурханов at the blue line. 10:21 is the time gone by in this first period.
Hi, Scott. My name is Sandy. I'm Judy's friend from L.A. I'm downstairs, and I thought I'd give you a call.
Great. Why don't you come on up?
Great. Bye.
Right. Sorry, guys. Are you up? Come up. Are you up for it? Are you up?
Hi, Scott. Sandy.
Sandy.
Just a reminder, Sports Weekend follows hockey. Ernie Afaganis with a bowling from Toronto. We'll have car racing from Wisconsin right now. Back live to Kiev. Once again, Don Whitman. Don?
We're going to see on this replay here that Joe Newendike tried to do the same thing Krovякov did. Beat the goaltender in the breakaway through his leg.
Dumped down the ice by the Flames. They did an exceptional job of killing off penalties in Game 1, which they won by that score of 4-2. They led 3-0 against Timok in the first period. Бурханов goes back to the net, and as he touches it, it's whistled down, and the puck is brought back into the neutral zone for the face-off.
Well, if you watched the game Thursday and thought the crowd was very quiet compared to this one, you're right. Don't forget, this is the home team here in Kiev, and in Leningrad Thursday, Timok is really a Moscow team.
Johansson, cross ice to Murzin. He hammers it off the boards down into the Soviet zone. In his own zone, Godynuk having a little trouble handling it, gives it back to Gorbushин. Ahead to Бурханов. Бурханov in across the line, play broken up. Hristic picks up the loose puck to Бурханov. He was looking out in front for Yuldashev. Pass didn't get through. Now Yuldashev has it in the corner. Back to the point to Gorbushин. To Yuldashev. Yuldashev centering it. Here's an opportunity for Hristic. It was knocked off his stick by Murzin and slipped down the ice.
Nice passing by the Soviet power play. They got it to one of the two men in front of the net that was being covered by the one Calgary defenseman, which is an impossibility, and as a result, the fumbled pass cost the Kiev team an excellent chance to score.
Ovchinnikov coming out of his own zone for the Soviets. Stepanichev had his pass broken up by the Flames, and Nat was in his own zone. Now was checked, it goes loose. Malkov cross ice, but there was nobody in position to accept his hard pass. Gary Roberts brings it out to center ice, drops it off to Suter. He takes his time before flipping it down into the Soviet zone.
Well, the Calgary Flames are picking up where they left off Thursday with this excellent penalty killing. One opportunity, and missed.
Here's Gary Roberts stealing it, going in, the save by Shundrav with just 5 seconds remaining in the penalty to Doug Gilmour. Doug Gilmour now out of the penalty box. He steps into the Soviet player just as he came in across the blue line, and he was able to spin Kalabuchov around as he was looking for that pass. 12:36 has gone by in this opening period. Calgary leading 1-0. Krovякov has to wait for Gilmour to get onside, and then the pass goes off a skate, and the Soviets gain control. Sиньков in his own zone. Rink-wide pass for Zinoyev. Zinoyev is stopped in the neutral zone. The Soviets like to use 5 players as a unit at all times. And they very rarely change, although on their power play unit they did make one change back on the blue line. Sинькov fakes the shot. Tried to go around McCrimmon. It was knocked away from him. Loose puck at the side of the net. Again, there have been some strange bounces off those end boards. Here's the shot. Right on by Najda, and the save by Rick Wamsley.
Well, Wamsley had the angle cut. He didn't know where the puck went after it hit him. But Najda nearly scored.
It's easy enough.
Through this first period has been unbeatable, and he's had to make about 4 big stops.
From the face-off, the puck slides back into the Sokol Kiev zone. Played out, picked up there by Johansson. Johansson having trouble, was knocked off the puck by the Soviet player Bitnikov. Sиньков centering it, nobody in position, and Joel Otto gains control. Dumping it out into the center ice area, picked up by Johansson, drop pass to Hunter, shot, that goes wide. Ботвинко out of his own zone, rink wide, nobody there. On the open wing, it's picked up by Johansson. He gives it to Merzen, who takes it behind his own goal. Merzen up to the line, stop there. Puck goes loose. There's an opportunity for Alipov, and he fires it. It's deflected off a stick and over the glass, out of play. 14:22 is the time gone by in the first period.
If you want to know the latest...
Darren Fleury, who has not seen much action tonight, is one of the two Calgary forwards that are under 180. He may even be under 170.
Despite the fact that he is the youngest player in the lineup of the Flames, he has had a great deal of success. He's been on a Turner Cup winning team in the International Hockey League with Salt Lake, a World Championship junior team, and of course last year a Stanley Cup championship team.
Well, that's a nice streak to have going for a young Western Canadian boy. He's a delightful guy to talk to. He always seems to be in a good mood, but I don't think he's quite so delightful to play against. There's a large contingent of Calgary fans here, and they are trying to out-cheer, although they're outnumbered, this Kiev crowd.
Loose puck in that Calgary zone. Alipov trying to get it free, does manage to get a shot away. Gorbushyn is taken in against the boards by Т.Хантер. Now Alipov is checked by Natras. They battle for the puck in the corner. Gorbushyn manages to get it loose to Shiryaев. He's knocked down, and Gary Suter comes up with it for Calgary. He moves it ahead to Natras. Rink-wide pass to Hunter. Hunter is out there with Ranheim and Fleury. Ranheim tried to get it loose, looking for Fleury cutting in on the left side, unsuccessfully. Long shot, blocked before it gets to the net. Centering attempt by Yuldashev, and it's gloved and held by Rick Wamsley.
Well, this Sokol Kiev team was created in 1963. They've played 5 games already this season. They're 1-3-2. One of their losses is 4-2 to Himmick. And they finished 5th last year in the league. Here's probably their best player, Valery Shiryaев. 12 goals, 9 assists as a defenseman. Finished 3rd in the Soviet League, and it will play for the USSR national team this year, and that's a first for any player from Kiev.
Fired wide, Gary Roberts deflected off the boards. Makarov picked up the pass, but it was a 2-line offside call.
Makarov, who gave us a taste of what he can do early in the game in Leningrad, and we haven't seen that yet, although he made that nice pass to give a breakaway. He's wearing number 42 this year for the Flames. You know, all through his great career here in the Soviet Union, he wore 24. But that's Jim Kaplinski's number. So being the innovative guy that he is off the ice as well as on, he just turned it around, and 42 will be a number I think we'll remember in the National Hockey League this winter.
Neuendijk in his own zone, back to McCrimmon. He flips it down the ice. Shiryaев back there for the Soviets. Long lead pass now to Hristic. Hristic at the line. The play whistled down, an offside call against the Soviets.
Well, in the first 8 minutes, Terry Crisp's team showed us all kinds of good body checks by their forwards. And the pacing was good. It slowed up a little bit. One of the reasons is, I think, is that the Russian forwards, Soviet forwards here from the Kiev team, I think found out quickly that life's tough in the offensive zone. And the Soviet defensemen found the forechecking physical forwards for Calgary a little uncomfortable too.
Stepanichev going for the net. Sabarin got back to knock it away from him. Played up along the boards for McCrimmon. Kalabukhov tied him up. It goes loose in the neutral zone. Neuendijk unsuccessful in attempting to steal it, and it's flipped over the glass and out of play. We've played 16-12 of this opening period, and the Flames are leading 1-0 on a goal by Priakin.
Until October 11th, with...
Face-off in the center ice area. Johansson has it for Calgary. A crowd of about 6,000 watching this game. Considerably smaller than the crowd in Leningrad, although that facility in Leningrad can accommodate up to 25,000 with about 15,000 for a hockey game. Racing back after it is Merzen as he touches it, an icing call against Sokol Kiev. And Harry, the crowd is also much smaller than what we saw earlier today in the stadium adjacent to the hockey rink. About 70,000 were there for a peaceful demonstration in support of perestroika. What they're looking for in the Soviet Union, in this part of the Soviet Union, at least in Kiev, is for control of their own economy, and they want to speak their own language.
And you're talking about the Ukrainians, who make up about half the population of this part of the Soviet Union. And they were a lively crowd, dampened a little, I thought, John, by some severe downpours.
Yes, they said that reduced the size of the crowd, but still about 70,000 were out. Puck picked up by Sиньков now, coming out for Sokol Kiev. Sинькov having trouble with Johansson. Tried to get it back to the point. It bounces by Lubnin. It's loose in the neutral zone, and Fryakin picks it up for Calgary. 17:15 is the time gone by in this opening period. 1-0. The Flames lead it on a goal at 5:59 by Fryakin. Jim Poplinski, the Flame captain, centering it. Gilmore, cross ice, score! Hunter!
Well, Mark Hunter really let go with a hard shot there. The goaltender has no chance at all. Nice pass to Gilmore after a turnover right here. You can see that the Soviet defenseman has not been two guys. Number 14 for the Soviet, Shiryaев, stood there at attention and took no one. As a result, Hunter had a free shot 15 feet out, and Mark Hunter can score. This Calgary fan, a little tired waving of the flag there, I think. They've led a tough fight, the Calgary fans over here. They've taken advantage of every second in the USSR.
Loose puck in the Soviet zone. Gorbushin picks it up in the corner. Now it'll be interesting to see what assists they award on that play. Normally, both Poplinski and Gilmore would draw an assist on the score by Mark Hunter.
On the first goal, they gave Nieuwendyk an assist and not the defenseman that made the pass, sprung them out of their own zone.
1 minute and 57 seconds remaining in this opening period. Mark Hunter making it 2-0 for Calgary.
And Mark was very disappointed in the way he played in game one. He only got one shift in the first period, and the penalties really fouled up the line rotations. And Hunter's like about a half a dozen other forwards on this Calgary team. If they don't get warm and stay warm by getting a regular shift, their effectiveness is reduced dramatically.
Good move by Hunter to avoid a check to Joel Otto. Otto trying to get it back to Hunter. It's deflected to the corner. Hunter tried to drop it back to the point. Oletsky was there to intercept, but the Flames get it back. Natras getting set, lets the shot go. Through traffic, deflected wide. Suter with a shot right on. Shundraff has to make the save. Two big shots from the point by Natras and Suter. Suter's right on, and a screen Shundraff was forced to make the save. He's the oldest player on the Soviet team. He is 33 years of age, and he has been, according to reports we have received, one of the better goaltenders in the Soviet League.
Well, he had a 2.85 goals against average last year in 41 games, and for a fifth-place team, that's a very decent average.
We're into the final minute of the period. Calgary leading by a score of 2-0. Shiryaев is back for the Soviets, being watched by Calgary's number 14, Theron Fleury. Now here's an opportunity, a breakaway, just goes off the end of the stick as it's whistled down on an offside call.
Well, the most dangerous play that the Calgary Flames have to look for is that long pass. Remember Thursday night after the first period in Leningrad, Nimick capitalized on 3 or 4 of them, and the Calgary goalies really had to play well. We watched the game last night from Moscow, where Washington beat the Moscow Spartak team 8-7 in overtime, and the Washington goalies had to stop about 5 guys that got in alone on that long pass up the middle, which is a trademark of Soviet hockey.
Duck Wickenheiser was the overtime hero in that victory last night by the Washington Capitals. 38 seconds remaining in this opening period. 2-0, the Calgary Flames in front on goals by Sergei Pryakin and Mark Hunter. Poplinski and Gilmore have been awarded assists on the goal by Hunter, and so they should.
That scorer must be listening to you, Don, down there, giving a second assist on 1 goal. He could lose his job here in the Ukraine.
It doesn't happen very often in international hockey where there is more than 1 assist on any goal. Makarov couldn't control it. It bounces off the skates of Nieuwendyk. Soviets try and get it out. They hit the referee Lipa. The puck stays in the zone. Nieuwendyk with a shot. Saved by Shundrov. Gary Roberts right in front of the goal, looking for that loose puck. Soviets having some problems getting it out of their own zone in the dying seconds of this opening period. What a hit by Nieuwendyk as he stepped into Hristic just as the buzzer sounds.
Joe Nieuwendyk is throwing about 4 good body checks, and if Calgary want to keep throwing the checks they threw in the first period, they're going to win this game going away. The Russian team is too small to take many of them.
2 goals in the first period for Calgary at 5:59. Pryakin from Nieuwendyk, and then at 17:32. Mark Hunter from Gilmore and Poplinski, and at the end of the first period in Kiev, it's the Calgary Flames 2, Sokol Kiev, no score.
Kiev is the capital city of the Ukraine. It is known for its Baroque architecture, and this is the Cathedral of St. Sophia.
Coach's Corner with Don Cherry.
As promised, the coach joins us live at our control studios in Toronto. Now,
Bork. Oh, no, Bork. Baroque.
That's Bork.
Bork.
Yeah. He used to play for
He
the
plays for
Kiev.
Welcome back to Kiev. Rick Wamsley, the starting goaltender for the Calgary Flames tonight. He played the second half of the game in Leningrad on Thursday night and was beaten for both goals in the 4-2 loss to, or 4-2 victory over Himmick. He made a couple of very good saves early in the first period of this game, Harry.
Yes, he did. And although he didn't play a lot for Calgary in their drive for the Stanley Cup, you ask Mike Vernon how it feels to know you have a guy behind him, not only with the ability of Rick Wamsley, but with the character of Wamsley. I had the pleasure of playing in his golf tournament in Port Dover this summer, where he raised $26,000 for the Port Dover Arena Fund. He's a fine guy who goes back to his hometown and helps contribute to some of the people that need some funds by organizing the golf tournament.
Our next game will take place on Monday when the Calgary Flames go against the Wings of the Soviet, and they wind up their friendship tour of the Soviet Union on Wednesday, facing Red Army, the #1 team in the Soviet Union, although the Red Army team bears little resemblance to the team we have seen in the past with the number of players who have gone on to the National Hockey League. Fetisov, Kasatonov, Makarov, Larionov, Krutov, McGillney.
Wasn't that the green unit, those 5? It won't be quite as strong a colored green, and they'll miss those fellows, obviously, as they're all going to be pretty effective players in the National Hockey League after great careers in the Soviet Union.
Lead pass for Gary Roberts, just a little too far for him. Shundrov is forced to play it. And against the boards, the Soviets get it loose. Play just underway in the second period with Calgary leading by a score of 2-0. Stepanichev bodied along the board, centered it, broken up by Johansson. He poked it ahead to Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk is racing after it against Zinoviev. Zinoviev, as Nieuwendyk loses his stick, gets the puck loose on the right side to Stepanichev. Stepanichev unable to go around Murzin. Still has the puck in the corner, still controlling for the Soviets. Tried to center it. It's broken up by Johansson. He flips it down the ice. Roberts was going in after it, but Shundrov, the goaltender, stopped it and left it there for Ovchinkov. Malkov now in across the line for Ovchinkov. Ovchinkov went in too deep, couldn't get a shot away, and Brad McCrimmon took him out of the play. Johansson plays it up along the boards for McClellan. Rink-wide pass. Ranheim was offside, or Priakin was offside on the play as McClellan brought the puck in across the line.
Now, this is something that I don't think I can ever recall seeing. A goaltender who plays with no tape on his stick. And the good little goalie here for the Kiev team has none on it at all. At least he has none on the blade.
Yuri Shundrov, the oldest member of this Sokol Kiev team, 33 years of age, but one of the better goalies in the Soviet National League. Gilmore manages to keep it in. He made a nice pass to M.Hantер for that second Calgary goal. Sиньков now for the Soviets. Trying to go around Sabrin, slides it out front, a shot, they score! Najda!
Well, Sиньков made a nice play to get his nose around Sabrin and then threw it back out in front. There were two Flames and two Soviet players, but as you can see, Priakin pretty soft on the Soviet forward that scored. And a defensive breakdown by the Calgary Flames on what was a 3-on-3 run that cost them the goal again.
So at 1:36 of the second period, the Soviets are on the board. A 2-1 lead for the Calgary Flames. Hrdina in the corner is checked. The puck comes back to the line. Long shot by Natras goes wide. Gorbushyn picks it up in the corner. And with that goal by Najda, the crowd comes alive. In the neutral zone, a battle along the boards. Picked up by Yuldashev. Pass broken up by Ranheim at center ice. Ranheim leaves it there for Fleury. Fleury fires it in. Puck bounces to the far corner for Hrdina. Attempted to center it. Intercepted by Gorbushyn.
I guarantee you, John, that the Soviet coach told his players that they better be on the other end of a lot of the takeouts if they want any part of winning this game. And early in the second period, they've thrown all the body checks and scored the only goal.
Suter with a long shot wide. Hристич gains control in the corner, then he loses it. Poplinski attempted to center it for Joel Otto. It was broken up by the Soviets. They clear the zone. We've played 2:49 of the second period. 2-1 is the score. Here's Hристич taking a return pass. And it just went wide as Wamsley came sliding across.
One too many passes, perhaps that close to the net. But the pass across to give the Soviet player the chance was in the air, and he couldn't knock it out of the air.
Yuldashev falls, losing control of the puck, and Natras gets it out of the zone. Zinoviev circles back in his own zone for Vasilenko. Long lead pass to Oletsky, a shot right on, a backhander. Wamsley handled that one. The puck goes loose in the corner. Yuldashev couldn't do anything with it. Now Makarov picks it up. Rink wide pass. Roberts looking for Nieuwendyk in front. He was tied up. The puck goes back to the Soviet net. Makarov and Nieuwendyk along the boards. Makarov gets it back to the line to Johansson. Back to Makarov. He couldn't handle it. It's loose in the corner. Nieuwendyk battling in there with two Soviets. Makarov comes in to help out. Makarov, rink wide for Murzin. Murzin scores! What a beautiful pass! Makarov spotted Murzin racing in from the point, hit him with a perfect fade, and it's 3-1.
Well, that was a brilliant pass right here. You see, Murzin takes off. Makarov, like all the great players, see it. And he puts it in the net. And the Calgary fans, and a very enthusiastic flag waving by this gentleman who looked like he was going to die on the flight coming from Leningrad to Kiev, is happy with the 3-1 lead the Flames have built up on a nice goal by Murzin and a better pass by Makarov.
One of the reasons those fans are having problems on the flight for an 8 o'clock departure, they were up at 4 in the morning to get that flight. Some of them didn't get an opportunity to go to bed before traveling from Leningrad to Kiev. Stepanichev is checked by Doug Gilmore. He got back nicely to become involved in the play. Kalabukhov attempted to take a shot. It was blocked by a Flame, and the puck comes out into the center ice area. We've played 4:38 of this second period. It's 3-1. Tim Hunter collided with Doug Gilmore. Stepanichev with a shot. It goes wide. Tim Hunter is down.
And out.
Play continuing on, and finally the whistle goes as the Flames touch it and fire it down the ice. Bearcat Murray coming out to tend to Tim Hunter. He was involved in that collision with Doug Gilmore.
Well, you wouldn't think that Hunter would be the guy lying there after running into Gilmore, but I'm sure that Tim Hunter did not see Gilmore. And Gilmore got a glimpse of Hunter at the last minute. And the result is the bigger, stronger guy has rarely moved. The referee took a long time to blow the whistle, but in all fairness to him, the play was down all around the Calgary net. And the referee was behind the net on the icing line. He was trying to make sure nothing was going wrong in front, and about 160 feet away, number 19 lay fairly still, but he looks like he's moving. It's pretty tough to keep this guy down for long.
Tim Hunter, who played his junior hockey with the Seattle Breakers, the first Calgary native to play for the Flames. He's a valuable member of this hockey club in a heavyweight capacity.
He looks like he might have been winded more than anything. Not very often you see Hunter struggle to his feet.
Got an hour.
Pat Murray, the trainer, asking Tim Hunter why his voice is now a soprano. I think that was the problem.
Terry Crisp had moved over to talk to him, and Hunter said, "I'm okay." Of course, on this tour, one of the problems with so many dressed is that they haven't all been getting as much ice time as they would like. Here's a shot fired wide by Priakin. Now Gilmore moving in alone. It hit the post. Dana Merzen attempting to keep it in at the point. It bounces free. And it's Ботвинко back of the net, sliding it out front, and McClellan was there to intercept. Gilmore with a great opportunity to make it 4-1, whistling it off the post.
Well, he had the goalie beaten up high to the glove side, but he couldn't get it on the right side of the goal post.
Ботвинко again, long shot, right on the rebound, and that's fired wide. Priakin, who started the scoring for the Flames, moves it out into the center ice area. 5:53 has been played in this second period.
Well, the Kiev team are skating much better this period, and look like any jitters they might have had playing the defending Stanley Cup champions are over.
Yuldashev tried to throw it back to the point. It's intercepted and brought out, but there was a whistle on the play. A penalty coming up.
Fleury and Hristic collided, and the sticks went up. And the referee is now over. I don't know whether he saw either one of those players and is assessing the penalty, or whether it was some of the action in front of the net. But Darren Fleury, who can be an awful pest, we all know, gave us a little demonstration that he hasn't forgotten how to do that over the summer.
Well, Fleury and Hristic played against each other in the World Junior Championship 2 years ago, when the tournament was held in Moscow, and Canada won the gold medal. And it is Fleury who will be heading to the penalty box.
I think he knew it all the time, Don, but he was going to see if he could intimidate the referee a little bit. And it looks like he gave this guy a little bit of a two-hander to see if the Russian equipment was any good. And as you can see, the trainer, that little Sunday school face of Darren Fleury isn't often the way he acts sometimes when he gets out on the ice. A fan favorite, a favorite of his teammates, and an awful enemy of his opponent. There's the magic stuff in Russia. Could be some of that Leningrad water. Nobody will drink it. It might heal bruises.
Well, they tell us that the water is fine in Kiev, but not too many have been taking a chance. However, we have found the food to be very good in Kiev.
Oh, yes. There's a little repair job being done on the bench in Kiev. The trainers have been busy in the last 3 minutes.
And for some of us, Harry, drinking the water and avoiding the food might be a better idea. Shot from the point, they score! Zinovьев.
I don't know whether wrongfully was screened on that last minute, because normally he'd have picked that off. But the trouble started when they lost the draw. And there's the shot. And you can see that both the Calgary defenseman, I think it was Knapp, and the Kiev forward went across in front of Wamsley just about the time the puck was arriving. Rick Wamsley, I think, heard that one go by and did not see it. But this has turned out to be as good a first part of the second period as we enjoyed the first period.
Zinovьев, the goal scorer, with that blast from the point. And it's 3-2. A power play goal just 6 seconds into the Fleury penalty. This is an icing call against the Calgary Flames.
Well, as you know,
6:29 is the time gone by in the second period. 3-2 is the score. The coach of the Sokol Kiev team, Anatoly Bogdanov, he watched the game between Calgary and Kimmich from Leningrad on television the other night. He thought that maybe he would travel to Leningrad to do some scouting firsthand.
What did he tell us, Don? He said Himmick lost 4-2. We lost 4-2 to Himmick. Should be a good game between us and Calgary. And it has.
Shiryayev loses control of it. They battle for it along the boards, and the Soviet defenseman comes up with it. Attempting a rink-wide pass that was deflected over the glass and out of play by McCrimmon. 6:59 has gone by in the second period.
A New York City cop on the trail of a killer. From the back alleys of Manhattan to the streets of Japan. You remember me, don't you? This isn't New York. Justice falls like black rain.
I know we were working together.
Michael Douglas, Black Rain.
Starts Friday, September 22nd at theaters everywhere.
3-2, the Calgary Flames lead Sokol Kiev. 7:01, the time elapsed now in this second period. A strange bounce that almost fooled Shundraff in goal for Sokol Kiev. Gary Suter back at his own line, gives it cross ice to Natras. He returns it to Suter. Suter had difficulty picking it up. To Ranheim, he bangs it down the ice, and this will be another icing call against the Calgary Flames.
Well, the goaltender there was very fortunate that he was hit by that bouncing puck. You know, the players complained that the ice was a little rough here, and the puck on that bounce shoot-in took a weird hop and nearly caught his veteran goalie by surprise.
Back to the line, Ovchinnikov lets the shot go up high. Zinoyev comes in deep, tried to center it, goes off the side of the net. Suter battling along the boards with Ovchinnikov, and the play is whistled down, and there's going to be a penalty here. Penalty call, this time against Theron Fleury.
Well, Fleury knew he had this penalty. He was well over to the penalty box before the referee got there to report it. And the last time he sat there, he got out early because the Kiev team scored. And the one thing that you can't give the Russians and get away with it forever, although Calgary did on Thursday night against Himmick, is keep giving them that extra man on the ice. They pass their puck very well. And you're asking for trouble taking needless penalties. Calgary played a good, tough first 10 minutes of the first period and didn't run into a penalty. Since then, they started a little monkey business, and it's starting to cost.
Sokol Kiev scored just 6 seconds into the last Fleury penalty. Puck fired down the ice by the Flames. Long lead pass up to the blue line. Sиньков stopped by Merzen. Unable to get it out, however. Lubnin keeps it in. Lubnin to Sинькov. Back to Lubnin at the point. Найда. Back to the line. Lubnin. Shiryaев. A shot deflected into the corner by Wamsley. Shiryaев unable to handle it at the point. It slides down the ice. And Shundrav out of his net to play it around to the other side to Lubnin. 3-2, the Flames lead. 1:08, the time still left in the penalty to Theron Fleury. Into the slot. Yuldashev has his shot blocked, and it's flipped down the ice by Gary Roberts.
Well, that was a nice passing play, and the Soviet player was able to one-time the puck while he was on the move. And sadly made the save, or it might have caused a little trouble for Wamsley.
Roberts takes it back into his own zone to kill off some time, giving it to McCrimmon. He flips it ahead into the center ice area, and Joe Nieuwendyk comes up with it. Nieuwendyk to Roberts. Roberts checked there by Stepanischev, and back comes Malkov. Malkov takes the drop pass into the slot area to Yuldashev. It bounces away from him, and Gary Roberts fires it down the ice with 24 seconds left in the penalty.
Well, Kiev's had two good chances. One stopped by Wamsley and one by Sagan, the defenseman.
Stepanischev plays it around the boards. Ovchinnikov to Malkov. Back to Ovchinnikov. Over to the other side. It bounces away from Zinovьев. And it's picked up by McCrimmon and played around the boards as Fleury comes out of the penalty box. And Fleury runs into Ovchinnikov as he comes out of the box. Dumped in by McCrimmon. Fleury after. There's a shot from a bad angle, and that was up high on the shoulder of Shundrav.
Fleury gambled a little bit that he might be able to put one over this little goalie's shoulder, or hurt him if he didn't. Those shots from bad angles, the goaltender has a tough time getting out of the way or ducking it.
10-10 is the time gone by in the second.
Your Toyota dealer's been sharpening up the deals on a few of the 89s.
Okay, pencil, to work.
But that pencil was just bent on giving a sharp deal on every 89 in stock.
Whoa, stop! Almost Carson Price! Enough! I'll fix it this time, right for head!
The sharpest deals on every new 89, but not much time.
The athletes in the city of South Korea, the Olympics 1 year later, September 24th at 8 p.m.
McClellan and Ovchinnikov get penalties, and in international play, the teams will not play full strength. They'll each play a man short, which is, of course, not the National League rule.
There are some National League players who would like to see the NHL go back to this particular rule.
Well, you remember that Edmonton just destroyed teams when they got in this situation with Gretzky, Messier, Coffey, and Anderson. And that's called by many coaches in the league the Edmonton rule.
Gilmore attempting to break in. He was tied up by the defenseman Godynuk, and then Godynuk takes him in heavily against the end board after the whistle had gone.
A fair time after the whistle is gone. And we're seeing a little bit of the aggressiveness that you talked about before the game, but I think he's going to get a penalty for this. The whistle is gone. The goalie has grabbed it, but the Kiev defenseman, Godynuk, wouldn't stop, and he threw Gilmore into the glass. For that, he's going to get a penalty, and this is exactly why the rule was changed in the National League. This penalty will put the Kiev team 2 men down. 4 against 3 is a much more dangerous situation. 3 is a much more dangerous situation than 5 against 4. And that's what it would be if we were in the National League. And this fellow here, number 3, Godynuk, gets a penalty, and his team will be 2 men short. Al McInnes makes his first appearance, I think, of the game, and he'll wind up with that howitzer from the blue line. He already got one on the Soviet part of this tour Thursday night.
McInnes unable to keep it in back at the point. He is the 7th defenseman dressed for this game. As Coach Terry Crisp told us prior to the start of the game, he said he was only going to use him on power play situations so that his other defensemen could get more of an opportunity to play. Fleury in control, 4 skaters against 3. McInnes lets it go wide. Fleury the rebound. The goaltender's down. He scores on the second opportunity. He picked it up off the end board, tried to slide it by him, got it back again, and put it into an open net.
Well, that's what happens. There were 3 Flames in front of the net, and only 2 Russian defensemen, and Fleury, the extra guy, got the puck and bounced it into the goal. And that penalty was a costly one to the Kiev team, who had been making a bit of a comeback. And Fleury, who always plays better when he gets himself involved, proved it again by scoring the goal that gives his team a 2-goal lead.
Al McInnes draws an assist on the goal by Fleury. The goal comes at 11:01 of the second period, restoring the Flames' 2-goal advantage. Rink-wide pass for Merzen. Dumped into the corner. A goaltending change with Samoylov now in goal for the Soviets. He makes his first save off Joe Nieuwendyk. Makarov takes the drop pass from Johansson. Tried to get it to Nieuwendyk back of the net. It bounced away from him. 4 skaters against 4. Still 31 seconds remaining in that double minor. Chakray moves it ahead. Long shot that Kalabukhov has deflected high up into the stands.
And here's the new Russian goaltender who took over at the 10-minute mark, or just before the 10-minute mark, Samyolov. And he was tested very quickly with a shot that he handled. And in this, what could be classed as an exhibition game, will give him a chance to play. As the old-time goaltender there, Shundroff, played 41 of the 44 games last year.
Terry Crisp indicated that he would be using his 2 goaltenders, Rick Wamsley and Steve Gannett, an equal amount in this game, but we have passed the midpoint of the second period, and so far Gannett has remained on the bench. Wamsley, the goaltender.
Well, Gannett's got his mask and both his gloves on. Unless he's afraid of one of his buddies shooting one into the bench, he's ready to go on the ice. Maybe Crisp is reading this clock wrong. As you know, they go the other way here. There's Gannett. He's ready to go. The Flames got him for a 6th-round draft pick from Pittsburgh last year, and he finished the season in Salt Lake City.
Good glove save on the shot from the point by Wamsley.
And here's the stop right here. Wamsley makes. And Wamsley's been sharp. As usual for him, he's a pretty fair goaltender and has been on every team he's played with. He thought he did a great job in St. Louis when he was there. And when called upon last year, he was a good, strong goaltender.
The icing is waved off as Samoylov had to handle the puck at the side of the net. And he holds it there for a face-off. Not dressed for the Calgary Flames, in addition to goaltender Mike Vernon, Colin Patterson, Jamie McCowan, and Bergqvist. McCowan and Bergqvist have both been bothered by the flu.
McCowan didn't even skate this morning, and evidently Bergqvist, this was his first. There's Vernon. He's got some flowers he's taking to the dressing room. The Flame players have their wives here, and he'll present that to his wife for sure with his back hotel.
Shot fired into the paths of goaltender Wamsley by Oletsky. Picked up by Fleury. Fleury dodges a check in the center ice area for McClellan. McClellan attempted to leave it there for Fleury as he was spun around, but it's knocked down the ice by the Soviets. Ovchinnikov to Ботвинко, and Ботвинko tried to put a move on Wamsley, and Wamsley came across the goal crease with him.
A great poke check to stop a real good chance on a good pass to put the Kiev player in the clear. That long pass up the middle. Boy, the Russian teams all over this country know how to do that better than most, if not all, North American teams.
Ovchinnikov coming out with Najda. Pass over on the wing for Vasilenko. He couldn't control it. Suter goes after it in the corner for the Calgary Flames. 13:23 is the time we played in the second period here in Kiev in this second match of the Friendship Tour for the Flames. Mark Hunter with a shot right on, and the save is made. Another blast from the point, and that one deflects off a stick and goes up into the crowd as Natras let it go from the point. 13:39 has gone by in the second period.
In Canada, when someone moves into a place of their own, a traditional gathering is held. It's called a housewarming. Molson Canadian. The clean, cold taste of a genuine Canadian beer. But beer's all about.
Steve Gannett with 1/3 of the second period left replaces Rick Walmsley. And in the game Thursday as well as this game, in the first period and 2/3, the goaltending for the Flames is the next one.
At the blue line, Hристич is hit by Natras. And back come the Flames. Poplinski stopped at the line by Shiryayev. Puck into the slot area for Suter, who was racing in from the point. He was tied up, couldn't get a shot away. The Soviet centering pass, and that goes off the skate of Yuldashev and just went wide. Mark Hunter flips it in. Joel Otto goes into the corner after it. Round the other side to Roberts. Shiryayev gets to the puck first. He gives it to his defensive partner, Lubnin. Lubnin is hit by Roberts. Shiryayev on the right side for Бурханов. Бурханov knocked off the puck, and the Calgary Flames come back. Neuendijk weaves his way in across the line, drops it for Makarov. Makarov, a couple of nifty moves. There's the shot, the save by Samoylov. The puck loose in front of the net. And diving out of it and holding it for a face-off is Samoylov, and that's another rule unique to international hockey that we don't see in the National League, as Paul Baxter, the assistant coach, looks on from the bench. Baxter behind the bench tonight along with Terry Chris. Tom Watt is observing the game from upstairs.
And of course, Paul Baxter has taken Doug Reisberg's spot as one of the two assistant coaches. Paul did a great job for 2 years in Salt Lake City and has earned a promotion to the National League. And boy, he's a keen, enthusiastic young coach who really thinks that he's found a niche in his post-playing career. He was a nasty guy as a player, I'll tell you that.
But he has a great deal of respect from all the players for his coaching capabilities.
There's Jamie McCown and Mike Vernon watching the game from behind the Kiev net, leaning on some of the nets they use in practice. Vernon is really enjoying this game, he told me.
Stepanichev circling in his own zone.
As the Kiev players are coming onto the ice tonight to start the game, I was standing with Mike Vernon, and they were all calling him Mishkin. They think that Vernon, a short guy with blonde hair, reminds them of Mishkin, a good dressing goalie, and Mike Vernon got a real kick out of that.
Penalty coming up. McCrimmon, it appears, will be going to the penalty box at 15:15 of the second period. Again, we point out that the time clock in the Soviet Union counts up to 20 minutes rather than down from 20 minutes as we are accustomed to. So it is the time gone by we are giving you rather than the time still to play.
Well, that's a double penalty, so the teams will again be shorthanded a man apiece. And now it's critical to try and avoid taking a penalty because you'll put your team down too. And that has already cost the Kiev team a goal. And this is the rule, this is the situation that the rule in the National League avoids, and that is that you are attempting to get somebody to take a bad penalty so you can get into the 4-on-3 situation, which is almost as successful as 5-on-3.
Stepanichev coming out for Sokol Kiev, firing it into the Calgary zone. Malkov getting it back to the point to Ovchinnikov. He couldn't get a shot away as the Flames clear the zone. Kalabuchov and McCrimmon in the penalty box. Stolen by Priakin, and Samoylov managed to make the save. Priakin has it again, back of the net. Getting it loose for Gilmore. Gilmore moves back to the line. He was forced to move outside the line as he was being bothered there by two Soviet players. Now he gets the pass to Priakin, to Johansson. Johansson, the new Swedish player on the roster of the Calgary Flames on a regular basis on this tour. Gilmore to Priakin. He was looking for Johansson. Johansson was turned around, not expecting the pass. Stepanichev for the Soviets. Soviets making a change. He tries to go rink wide. It's intercepted by Fleury. Good anticipation by the Calgary center. Now with some good speed going for the net. Taken in against the boards by Gorbushin. Taken down by the Soviet defenseman as he attempted to go to his backhand. Now Stepanichev comes back for the Soviets. Takes the shot right on. The rebound loose in front of Gannett, and it's cleared to the boards by Natras. Soviets gain control again. Godynuk moving in. A shot right on. Gannett makes the save, and the loose puck is brought back by Ranheim. Ranheim goes rink wide for Fleury. Fleury in against the boards. Checked there heavily by Gorbushin. Gorbushin and Fleury were involved in an altercation earlier.
Fleury's got most of the Kiev players very upset with him.
The penalized players back on the ice with 17:19 remaining in the second period. Alipov centering it. McCrimmon grabs it and starts back for Calgary. Too far for Roberts. Lubnin in his own zone leaves it for Alipov. 4-2, the Flames lead. Sokol Kiev, 17:39 is the time gone by in this second period. From Kiev, Calgary will travel to Moscow tomorrow for games against the Soviet Wings and Red Army, and that will wind up their tour. They will fly home on Friday of next week. Gary Roberts, rink-wide pass for Makarov. Makarov drops it back. Suter with a shot. And that one didn't get through as it went off the leg of a Soviet player. Gary Roberts intercepts in across the line. He was just unable to get it to Joel Otto, who was all alone breaking in.
Calgary, for the most part, each period play three lines more than four, unless there are some penalties to disrupt the rotation. And that at least gives the players one period of a lot of action rather than a period where they might only get on 2 or 3 times. I think it's a good idea to try it that way because one of the objectives of this tour is for Calgary to get in shape, game shape, to play the season, not just to win these games.
Yuldashev had moved into position to take a shot, but Burkhanov was in the net. Shot by Joel Otto, and the save by Samoylov.
Samoylov made a nice stop on a good, hard, well-placed shot by Joel Otto, 29.
We're into the final minute of the second period. Calgary leading by a score of 4-2. Zinoviev was stopped at the line. The puck goes loose in the neutral zone. Now it's Najda dodging a check. In across the line, lets the shot go. Pad save by Steve Gannett. Rick Wamsley started the game. Gannett came in with almost 14 minutes gone in this period. Shot off the post by Najda. Gannett was looking behind him, but it went off the post and came out the other side.
Boy, that was a major league wrist shot that had Gannett beaten.
Priakin having problems, unable to get out. Play broken up by Brad McCrimmon with 2 Soviet players in tight on goaltender Gannett. Just 3 seconds left in the period, and that will end the second period. 4-2 is the score. The Calgary Flames leading Sokol Kiev here in Kiev.
The Fifth Estate, controversy.
If you are just joining us, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams at our control studios in Toronto.
Calgary, and each team scored a pair of goals in the second period. Steve Gannett in goal for the Calgary Flames. He took over just before the 14-minute mark of the period from starter Rick Wamsley. Wamsley surrendered both goals to Sokol Kiev. Steve Gannett acquired on the 9th of January in trade by the Calgary Flames. Mike Vernon, who started the game against Himmick in Leningrad on Thursday night, is not dressed for this game tonight.
And I think it's only fair to comment that this Czech referee, Mr. Liba, has been far more tolerant than the referee Johansson was in Himmick on Thursday and last night in Moscow, as he gave Washington Capitals a ton of penalties in that 8-7 overtime victory for the Caps over Moscow's Spartak.
Some very questionable calls in that game last night, but the Capitals managed to win by a score of 8-7. And David Poyle, the general manager of the Capitals, is in attendance at this game, merely interested in watching the play of number 8 of Sokol Kiev, Hristic, Dmitry Hristic, who was drafted by Washington in one of the latter rounds of the 1989 amateur draft.
This is a Soviet ploy. When they're behind going into the third period, they don't start the clock. So they give the home team a little more time to come from behind and get a victory. Nobody on the Calgary team has noticed it yet. Now Paul Baxter is signaling to the players on the ice that the clock hasn't started. And I think they're using the other clock, Don, the one on the other side of the end of the rink. The Russians are tricky fellows, and sometimes they pull the hidden clock trick on you.
Well, there's no clock over center ice, as we are accustomed to. The clock is on a scoreboard at the end of the rink. Singkov with a blast high up off the glass. Najda in the corner attempting to center it. Knocked down by Merzen. Comes to the line, kept in by the Soviets. Najda with another shot that goes wide. Singkov from a bad angle took a shot off a skate. The puck bouncing around in the Calgary zone. Neuendijk bumps with the Soviet player Najda, but the play is whistled down as the puck was hit with a high stick.
Well, I think you'll agree with me, Whit, that this is a beautiful city, Kiev. There's the clock trying to catch up to the game. It will. The Dnieper River winds through a hilly countryside with cathedrals and statues. Only 90 miles from here, the city of Chernobyl, where they had the terrible nuclear accident. It alarmed me a little in my tourist guide as we flew in from Leningrad, where it said short visits to the Kiev-Chernobyl area are not hazardous to your health. And I really got upset when I saw that Debbie Boone's hit song, You Light Up My Life, is banned here in Kiev.
Face off in the Soviet zone, brought out by Hristic. Over on the right side to Yuldashev. Yuldashev back to Hristic, and the play was broken up neatly by Doug Gilmour, who did a good job of dropping back into his own zone.
Calgary on Thursday night, after they got a lead of 4-1, sat back and really did a pretty good job of protecting it, killing off penalties. I wonder if they'll try and come at this game and get the 5th goal, which would probably end Kiev's chances of winning.
Burkanov leaves it there for Hristic. He's taken in heavily against the boards by Gilmour. The two of them continue bumping, and the puck goes loose to Brad McCrimmon. 4-2, the Calgary Flames lead. That is the score they won by on Thursday night in Leningrad when they defeated Himmick. Himmick was the number 2 team in the Soviet Union last year. Gilmour drops it off for McClellan. McClellan with a shot that Samoylov is forced to stop. Gilmour gets it again to the point to Natras. Natras lets it go through traffic, and a loose puck that Samoylov managed to get a glove on with McClellan standing right on top of him. 2:18 is the time gone by in the second period. 4-2, Calgary leads.
This young goalie, Vitaly Samolov, has really been quite sharp in here since coming in halfway through the second period and replacing the KG veteran Shundlov.
The Flames attempted to get it back to the point, but the puck slid between Suter and Natras, and now they have to regroup in their own zone. Fleury gains control, flips it down into Soviet territory. Ovchinnikov lays it up along the boards for Oletsky. Vasilenkov is decked by Natras as Т.Хантер comes back to pick it up for Calgary. For Suter. Suter weaves his way in across the line, but Hunter was ahead of the play offside.
Well, it's nice to see Gary Suter back in action if you're a Calgary fan. Boy, he had a lot of tough luck with the injuries. I think it might take him a little longer to get in the groove this year than it would have had he played into late May like most of his teammates did. But he was well on the way to challenging Al McInnes for the scoring lead among defensemen, and I'm sure would have got a number of votes for the Norris Trophy had he been able to finish the year in one piece.
Talking about Al McInnes, he is dressed tonight, but he is dressed as the 7th defenseman, and this was the plan of Coach Terry Crisp, to use McInnes only on the power play. So McInnes has had just one shift so far in the game, and that only lasted about 30 seconds. Ranheim is spun around as the puck is fired out of the zone. Now picked up by Malkov. Malkov over to Kalabuchov in front, and Stepanichev was tied up. Shiryaев centering it, and Kalabuchov deflected it into the pads of goaltender Steve Gannett.
Well, you know, the hockey experts here in Kiev say they have a very young team, a lot of young players on this team, and to finish 5th last year and be a team that their coach thinks can finish higher than that this year maybe is something that the fans here in Kiev can look forward to, especially with Red Army retreating as a power. And the clock is caught up to the game, and Kiev is trying to catch up to the Flames.
3:22 gone by as Mark Hunter comes in across the line. High shot, a good wrist shot that went over top of the Soviet net. Mark Hunter scored the 2nd goal of this hockey game for Calgary as they enjoyed a 2-0 first period lead. In the game against Timok, Calgary got off to a very quick start, scoring just 31 seconds into the game, the goal by Gary Roberts, and they led 3-0 at the end of the first period. Godynuk in his own zone, playing it around the boards, and it slides down the ice and back into Calgary territory. Merzen gains control of the puck, then loses it. Gorbushyn moving in, just slid it wide. Centered for Najda, he was tied up by Mark Hunter, and here comes the captain, Jim Poplinski, in on the right side, bumping with Godynuk. This Soviet team likes to play a physical game, but they are giving away a weight advantage almost for every man of about 15 to 20 pounds.
Unless you run at Gilmore or Fleury, you're in trouble if you play for Kiev as far as the physical disadvantage is concerned. Number 3, Godynuk has been one of the more impressive defensemen, and he was a member of the Junior World Championship team in Anchorage last year, along with number 8, Kristich.
And Kristich is the player that was driving for the net, but he was tied up, and the puck never got through to him. Nieuwendyk in across the line with Roberts and Makarov. The puck slides to the net, but neither could get their stick on it as it was deflected behind the goal. Zinoviev plays it up along the boards, kept in at the point by Savarin. Now Zinoviev gains control. He moves it ahead to Kristich. On the left side to Бурханов. Drop pass for Kristich, and Kristich had difficulty controlling it as he tried to go around the veteran defenseman Brad McCrimmon. McCrimmon is bumped in against the boards by Yuldashev. Finally, the puck is poked loose, and Gary Roberts is there to gather it up for the Calgary Flames.
I think David Poyle is going to like the looks of this Kristich. He's only 20 years old, and he's made some nice moves tonight.
Kristich was a member of the Soviet team in the 1987 World Championships in Moscow, and he was part of the team that won the gold medal last year in Anchorage, Alaska. Gilmore pries it loose off the boards for Priakin. Priakin is checked by Kristich. The puck goes loose. McClellan has it. McClellan to Gilmore. Gilmore threw it out the short side. There was nobody in position, and the Soviets start back. Бурханов with a long shot that is steered to the corner by Gannett. Gary Suter up along the boards. Gilmore deflects it to the neutral zone. We played 6:17 of the third period. It's 4-2 Calgary.
And the next goal is a critical one. If Kiev can get it, this is going to be a great finish to a pretty good hockey game. If the Flames get it, the mountain may be a little too high for Kiev to climb.
6:27 is gone by in the third. A good crowd of about 6,000 taking in the action in Kiev. The ticket price, 6 rubles. Ticket prices normally for hockey games are 1 ruble.
Well, I don't know whether they're getting 6 times as much for their ruble tonight, but they are seeing a good effort by the home team, and they are playing the Stanley Cup champions, the Calgary Flames. They don't have to do that very often this season in this rink.
Shiryayev being pestered by Т.Хантер. Obviously, he's all right after that second period collision with Doug Gilmour. Stolen by Johansson to Hunter. He lets the shot go off the stick of Lubnin. Played around in the boards, kept in by Johansson. A long shot, knocked down in front by Lubnin, and he clears the zone as it slides back into Calgary territory. This will produce an icing call against Sokol Kiev.
Well, you know, in 1943, the population of Kiev was 180,000. Today, it's over 2.6 million, the 3rd largest city in the USSR. In 1943, it ended the German occupation, and 800 of the 1,160 businesses were out of it. 42% of the living space was destroyed. 940 government public buildings were in rubble, and 80% of the citizens were homeless. So these people, the older people of Kiev, have fought back from a terrible situation, and we noticed a lot of the old-timers on the streets wearing their war medal on their regular suits, and I'm sure they're very proud of their efforts at a very difficult time for this young Ukrainian city.
Samoylov with a fine stop off Roger Johansson. And one of the things that we have noticed in Kiev is the beautiful wide tree-lined streets as they have rebuilt the city.
And this young goaltender who took over, he's the backup goalie, but he's going to push the old man for a job the way he's looking. Shundrop is 33 and played 41 of the 44 games, and this young guy looks like he's going to get a chance to play. If this is the way he can play every night.
Stepanichev trying to beat Murzin to the puck. He manages to get it out front, and a good sliding save by Roger Johansson as that puck was centered by the Soviets, but they couldn't get a shot away as a result of that fine play by the Swedish import. Quite an international lineup on this roster of the Calgary Flames. 3 Americans, 2 Soviets, 2 Swedes, and a Czechoslovakian player, complementing the Canadians on the team. Malkov to Stepanichev, in front to Gorbushin, and the save is made by Gannett. For a moment he wasn't sure where that puck was, but he managed to cover up. So the score holds at 4-2 at 7:49 of the 3rd.
Toronto Sports. Who are the stars? AM 1430 wants you to tell us. Play Rate the Greats. Vote for your favorites. Win great prizes. Who's going to win? Find out on AM 1430. It could be you.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State with QSX exceeds every single car maker's Canadian requirements for maximum engine protection. So Quaker State engines don't know when to quit because Quaker State oil doesn't know when to quit. The big Q stands for quality.
You're looking at Coach Bogdanov of the Kiev team. You see he's got a stopwatch in his hands. He times the shift. He stands in front of his players. And that is out of the page of Anatoly Terezov, who is the dean of coaches historically here in Russia.
Well, his theory was that he wanted to look his players in the eye when he was talking to them.
Eyeballs, he said. We want those eyeball-to-eyeball conversations. We should see him in Moscow. I know Tom Watt, who knows him quite well, is quite anxious to see the old gentleman. And we'll try our best to see if we can get him on part of the show either Monday or Wednesday. And he was really the guy that brought the Soviets into world-class competition.
Ken Savarin behind his own goal, flipping it up on the boards. I refer earlier to your comments, Harry, about the referee Lipa of Czechoslovakia letting more things go in this game than did the Swedish referee on Thursday night in Leningrad, and it's been a much more physical game as well.
Well, here's another look at a couple of the Flames that aren't dressed. There's McCowan, and behind him Blomqvist. And this is his first day out of bed. Boy, he was really felled by the flu. Both these players are expected to practice tomorrow and may get into this little tour on Monday in Moscow. I'm sure McCowan will. I'm not too sure whether Blomqvist will, and he'll probably play Wednesday if he doesn't play Monday. It's a tough place to be sick, I think, Don.
Race for that puck. Gannett way out of the goal to play it up on the boards, and the Calgary Flames get it out of the zone. Makarov looking for Nieuwendyk, who was in full flight coming through that neutral zone, and he couldn't quite handle the pass. Makarov again for Nieuwendyk. He has Roberts with him. Roberts in across the line, dropping it off to Natras. A long shot deflects off a stick and up into the crowd.
And Makarov made another one of those little plays that very few players can make. Very aware of where everybody is on the ice, even the guys behind him, and he made a nice little play to give the Roberts a chance to slide it over to Natras for a point shot. And Natras, who was superb in the playoffs last year, especially in the finals, finds himself like about 3 other Flame defensemen who shipped out of that Stanley Cup in a battle for a job, as they have 8, 9 defensemen, and they're all probably capable of playing in the league.
Godynuk off the boards for Alipov. He couldn't control it. Natras knocked off the puck. Alipov has it. Alipov takes the shot right on. Gannett makes the save. Steve Gannett in goal for the Flames, replacing Rick Wansley near the 14-minute mark of the second period. Since taking over, he has been unbeatable. Gorbushyn back in his own zone. He brings it out for the Soviets to Alipov on the left side. Long slap shot, pad save by Gannett. Johansson plays it around the boards, and it comes out into the neutral zone. Godynuk, as the result of a collision with Joe Nieuwendyk, lost his helmet. Makarov slides it into the slot. Gilmore couldn't pick it up.
Boy, if I was an NHL scout, I'd be looking strongly at that Godynuk as a draft. He's been superb tonight, and he's a tough cookie.
Makarov moving into the slot, check. Stepanichev moving in. His shot goes off Murzin into the corner. Coming back to help out is Doug Gilmore. He got it loose, but not out. Ovchinnikov tried to move in, lost it to McClellan. Plays it ahead to Priakin. Priakin tried to go cross ice to Gilmore. A weak pass that didn't get through. Ovchinnikov up on the wing to Kubulikov, cutting for the net. Saved by Steve Gannett as he stood his ground. Gannett, in the brief time we have seen him in this game, has been impressive.
Very, and he looks very poised, not nervous at all. And he hasn't played on this tour in Czechoslovakia or in Russia, so it's been a while since he's had game conditions, but he's looking and sharp, playing well.
Zinoyev, who has scored one of the 2 Soviet goals, plays it back in his own zone to Ovchinnikov, knocked off the puck by Fleury. Back to the point to Sabarin. Sabarin managed to keep it in at the line, then Priakin was dumped and the puck is fired out of the zone.
Well, you have to give this Kiev team marks. They're outmanned as far as weight and height's concerned, but they're not out-hustled, and they don't mind taking the body. They take a good shot.
Long shot from the point, and that one is kicked out off the stick of Shiryayev. As Harry said earlier, the top-scoring defenseman on this Sokol Kiev team, Shiryayev. Pass in the wing to Ranheim. Ranheim trying to go around Shiryayev. He's knocked off the puck. It goes loose. McCrimmon into the corner for Hunter. Hunter is body. He and Najda battle. It comes loose to Shiryayev.
Although the Kiev team does not play in the Russia North American Tour in December and January, I'm quite sure we might see some team pick him up. He's slated to play for the Soviet national team this year in the World Championship, and he's an impressive defenseman, number 14. In fact, the defense core for the Kiev team, as the 6 of them have played very well, and they have played 6, not 8, the way you might think. And there is the fellow we're talking about, number 14.
We played 12-16 of this third period. No goals so far in the third. It was 2-0 Calgary after 1, 4-2 for the Flames after 40 minutes of play. Shot from the face-off by Poplinski is steered to the corner. Joel Otto is battling for it there. He tried to get it back to the line. Mark Hunter helped keep it in. Poplinski looking in front for Hunter, but it goes off a stick to Shiryayev. Shiryayev not at all reluctant to cut in front of his own net when he brings it out of the zone.
You want me to give you a list of good ones in the National League that used to do that? Serge Savard, Doug Harvey, Bobby Orr. When they had the puck, they'd go anywhere with it.
Penalty is going to come up here to Joel Otto.
Now that in the National League, John, would not be a penalty. And you watch Joel Otto. right here. A cross-check, it's not a vicious cross-check at all. And I think in the National League he'd have got away with it. But he's so much bigger than most of the people he tangles with that it's pretty tough for him not to be overtopping a guy. Not only do they have Joel Otto in the box, but he is their premier penalty-killing forward.
They are also without one of their better defensive forwards tonight in Colin Patterson. He is not dressed this evening. Again, we mentioned that Jamie McCowan, Jonas Bergqvist, Mike Vernon, and Colin Patterson are sitting this one out.
Well, Doug Gilmour, number 39. What a trade that was by Cliff Fletcher. Gilmour was absolutely superb in their run to the championship last spring.
Shiryayev, cross ice to Lubnin. He tried to fire it off into the corner to Najda, and it was intercepted by Doug Gilmour. Not only has he contributed points offensively, he has been solid defensively in this game.
Well, when your second leading scorer can play shift after shift against the other team's best center, you got a hockey player, and that's exactly what Gilmour does.
Najda, cross ice, and Sinькov all set to one-time it, and the puck bounced off his stick.
Now, if Sinькov had had a deeper blade on his stick, the score would be 4-3.
1:10 remaining in the penalty to Joel Otto. McCrimmon in his own zone. Around the boards to Ranheim. He gives it back to McCrimmon. Sinькov got there first. Leaves it in the corner for Ботвинко to the point. Now into Найда. To Ботвинко in front of the net. Ширяев with a shot. Good save by Gannett. Another shot by Lubnin. The rebound. And Gannett covers up. Gannett has made several good saves in this third period. None better than on this power play.
Well, he sure has been sharp, and the Flames have had more trouble killing penalties tonight against this team than they did Thursday against Kimmich. And here's a little flurry of shots that Steve Gannett would not allow to get past him. And he looks like he knows exactly where the puck is at all times. And there is Steve Gannett, who's also making his presence felt. I don't know how this team's going to cut down when they have to get to 23 or 24 guys.
Some tough decisions facing Terry Crisp, Cliff Fletcher, and the other members of the Calgary Flame Brain Trust, the coaching staff, the assistants, Paul Baxter and Tom Watt, Al McNeil.
Doug Riseborough. Lanny McDonald. They got enough guys voting on it anyway.
Back to the line. Zinoviev with a shot deflecting off a stick up into the crowd. Doug Gilmour has been out there killing off penalties and doing an admirable job for the Flames.
Well, he usually splits the center position in the penalty-killing team with Joel Otto. Joel Otto's in the penalty box. So Gilmour, and one of his great assets beside his ability to play is his endurance. Boy, in the finals at the end of a long season, he was playing every other shift when the game got down to the short strokes, and he seemed to thrive on that kind of ice time, and it would have killed a lot of players in the National League, and he's the second smallest player on the Calgary team. But he may be as big as any when it comes down to who does what.
And it was just over a year ago, early in September, that Cliff Fletcher was able to acquire him from St. Louis in that trade. Penalty to Joel Otto has now expired. The Flames back at full strength, and Otto steps into the Soviet forward Stepanichev as he attempted to bring the puck up ice. The Soviets try again. Stepanichev goes cross ice to Yuldashev, fired wide of the net. Loose along the corner. Malkov gets it loose. Yuldashev to Gorbushin coming in from the point, couldn't get a shot away. He was tied up, and back comes Poplinski.
And we're seeing more cases where the point men for the Kiev team jump off the blue line into the slot to try and reduce the gap of 4-2. And sometimes he's tough to cover.
Penalty coming up to the Soviets at 15:33 of the third.
This is ridiculous.
Keep looking.
There are no seat sales.
Keep looking.
Maybe your sister could move the wedding back. Keep looking.
In the world of Canadian, you don't have to wait for seat sales. Super Sky Savers give you year-round low prices. Guaranteed. throughout the country. Our world revolves around you.
Anatoly Stepanichev gets 2 minutes for tripping with 4:30 to go in the game. This is a bit of a bitter pill for the Kiev team to swallow because they have been coming on with some good chances. They just can't beat Steve Gannett in the goal for the Calgary Flames. And now they have to give up 2 minutes of the last 4.5, which is time they'd like to have to operate to tie this game.
And Al McInnes gets his second shift of the hockey game.
His legs must be on upside down. He's sat there longer than we have, John, and he has to go out there and play.
At the point, Theron Fleury manages to keep it in. He's out there on the blue line with Al McInnes, Makarov, Neuendijk, and Ranheim, the forwards for Calgary on this power play. Al McInnes was probably enjoying the game up until this point of the third period.
Well, they want him out there for that home run shot he's got. And I'm sure the Kiev players, especially the goaltender, haven't seen many that can shoot like he can, if any.
McInnes drives it in. Neuendijk takes a hit in the corner as he attempted to pick it up. That was Hristic who stepped into him. Again, we point out he was the draft choice of the Washington Capitals, and general manager David Poyle is here watching him. The Capitals, here's a puck stolen by Mark Hunter, and he scores! Second goal of the game for Mark Hunter as he steals that pass in Soviet territory. A cross-ice pass, and Hunter picks it off.
Well, it's not a great picturesque goal. Have a look at it. He was presented with the puck, and he scored it almost from exactly the same spot that he got the first goal as Sиньков gave the puck away to Mark Hunter, who gets the second goal of the night. If you give Mark Hunter the puck 30 or less feet out, the goalie's going to have to be good to beat him. And twice that's happened tonight, and twice Hunter's won. There'll be no assists on that baby, Don, no matter whether this game's in Iceland, Canada, or Kiev.
The unassisted goal by Hunter at 16:50, his second of the game, makes it 5-2. The Calgary Flames leading Sokol Kiev. A power play goal, the second power play goal of the night for the Flames. Fleury got the other. Merzen back in his own zone. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the game. Lead pass too far for Priakin. Godynuk flipped it up along the boards. Johansson keeps it in. Godynuk will try and get it out again. This time he gets some help from Oletsky, and it's cleared into the neutral zone. Loose puck with Oletsky having problems getting away from Gilmore. Gilmore finally does come up with it. Tried to go cross ice, and McClellan had difficulty handling it, and the Flames have to retreat in their own zone to try and reorganize this attack. Godynuk now to Oletsky. Oletsky takes the hit, loses his helmet in the process as he is bodied by Johansson. And there's a penalty coming up against the Calgary Flames.
This place is kind of empty.
Not for long. The Greyhound from Calgary will be here any minute.
Can't close up early, can you?
No.
Come on, Lucy.
Thought they sold Pepsi here. A cola by any other name just isn't the same. Pepsi, it's got what it takes.
Well, in professional football, that would have been called clotheslining, but they call it roughing here at the Kiev Sports Palace. And as a result, the Flames will finish the game with the exception of 3 seconds shorthanded unless Kiev scores.
Joel Otto is out there with Gilmore, McCrimmon, and Suter in a penalty-killing role for the Flames. Найда fires it in. McCrimmon gets there first along the boards for Otto, and Otto helps the puck continue on its way down the ice.
Well, the Flames haven't been called upon to win this game by their penalty killing, but their goaltenders, Walmsley and Gannett, could easily qualify for stars 1 and 2 as far as the Flames are concerned. They've had to make some good saves And I think the opposition tonight has been a little tougher than it was Thursday night in Leningrad.
The game has certainly been played with more intensity. As it's dumped down the ice, Joel Otto going after it. Samoylov way out of his net to play it up along the boards. The Flames with no obvious flaws. One of the reasons they were successful in their drive to a Stanley Cup. Good penalty killing, a fine power play, excellent goaltending. They can use the body effectively. They look as though they're going to be the power again in the National Hockey League in this 1989-90 season, which certainly isn't good news for their other opponents, particularly those in the Smythe division.
Well, when your team gets that kind of goaltending, you got a real chance of being successful. And the goalie for Kiev is out, so now there's 6 skaters against 4. A tactic that's rarely used in Russia, pulling your goalie.
The Soviets gained control. Malkov cross ice. Hristic couldn't control that high pass. Zinoviev to Hristic. Hristic bumped by Natras. The puck goes loose in the corner. Yuldashev back to the line. Gorbushyn to Stepanichev. To Hristic. Hristic moving in. Trying to go to his backhand. He's checked. The penalty is over, and so is the hockey game, as the Calgary Flames win it 5-2.
Well, Calgary played a strong game, but their opponents were stronger than they were Thursday night, and I think the early body checking and early lead that Calgary deserved and earned in the first period meant the difference. It was just too tough to come from behind for this smaller but spunky Kiev Sokol team.
Just 1 goal in the third period, a power play tally, his second of the game, an unassisted goal by Calgary's Mark Hunter. And so the final score, Calgary 5, Sokol Kiev 2.
Our third telecast, 7 o'clock local times from Moscow on Monday. Well, as I mentioned, the Edmonton Oilers have a Soviet assistant coach. Al Strachan of the Globe and Mail reports at practice this morning. Yuri Moiseyev was announced as an assistant coach. He came over with Krutov. Now, Don Sherry, you're smiling, but the key I hear is that according to Trechek, this was the best technical coach in the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Your buddy Sather has a Soviet assistant coach.
I can't say. Well, there's another job down the drain. We got to be the...
Why does it have to be a job down the drain?
Down the drain for another Canadian guy, down the drain. We got to be... We're like our country in the National Hockey League and the players. We're dumb. Come on, take our job. How many Canadian guys are coaching over there? That's all I got to say.
How many Canadian guys want to coach?
Well, it doesn't make any difference. Another job, Glenn. How could you do it?
All right, couple of seconds, a quick remark on today's
We'll see how many Stanley Cups you win with this
Quick remark on today's game.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I love the suit for that coach. I'll tell you, made-to-measure suit. Double-breasted. Are you kidding me? It was absolutely beautiful. Okay. Since was that it? I'm leaving?
That's it. You're leaving.
I'm leaving all out. And Stevie Gannett played a great game. Looks like they found a real find in him.
All right. For Don Sherry, for Don Whitman, Harry Neal, and Ron McLean, I'm Brian Williams. Hope you enjoyed the game. Stay tuned. Sports Weekend up next. The Flames win 5-2. So long, everyone.
You want to make into friends.
Only $6.55 until October 11th.
For my bad headaches, it's